PowerPlayChess, brought to you in association with Kagi. I'd like to show you a classic Greek gift sacrifice. This is my choice for best game prize from the World Amateur Championship played a couple of months ago on the Greek island of Kos. It's a really nice game, but also I think very instructive. So we'll look at that in a second. First of all, I want to tell you about these ACO events. That's the Amateur Chess Organisation. They organise 2 events a year, one in October on Crete and one in May on the Greek island of Kos. These tournaments, they sort of combine a chess tournament and a holiday, a vacation. The events take place in 5-star hotels, really attractive, really beautiful, very friendly atmosphere on and off the board. There are side events, there are blitz tournaments, simmels, there are lectures as well. I give some talks, and there's game analysis from grandmasters, including me, if you want your game analysed. There's just a really nice atmosphere. I can't recommend them highly enough. So I'll put the links to these tournaments in the video description and in the comments as well. There's some tournaments are for 50 plus, some super seniors 65 plus, and some are just kind of open, but there's rating restriction. Anyway, you can see all the details on their website. So let's get down to business and have a look at this game. So this is played, as I said, in this ACO tournament on Kos. And we have Katharina Koschel from Germany playing against Markus Simmler from Switzerland. And the game starts like this. So d4, d5. A Slav exchange variation, which you might think, well, is this going to be very exciting? Well, it turns out to be very exciting. Of course, you don't have to play e6. That does block in this bishop, but it's not a bad move. Except now, black plays a6. Oh, well, you know what I think about these little pawn moves at the side of the board. I think black's position is fine after bishop d6, but that's another story. I think one should always try and develop pieces, not play with pawns. Anyway, a6. And now, shocking! White plays a3. So just kind of reciprocates. These pawn moves aren't necessary, at least not yet. Anyway, bishop e7, bishop d3. And here I think black should develop a piece, knight c6. I mean, its position's still fine for both sides. Castles, that commits the king at a very early stage. At the moment, there's nothing happening in the centre. So it's probably better to leave the king there for the moment and develop. Castle's kingside, I think, is a little bit too early. That gives white an idea of exactly where to attack. Black played with knight h5, attacking the bishop. Now, if the knight could take the bishop, then that justifies this knight h5 move. But bishop e5 was an excellent move. And then black really doesn't want to make a move like f6. That'll really weaken the king side. So bishop d6, that looks a bit funny. I think it would have been better to play knight c6 anyway. I think it's a difficult position for black. And now Katharina took on d6, which is fine. There was another very interesting possibility here, and that's to play knight g5, threatening bishop h7 and queen h5. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail, but I'll show you one variation. If black tries to hold things together with g6, that is an epic fail because white has queen h5 and bishop h7 mate. Very nice. But bishop takes d6 played. Of course, that's not forced. Bishop takes d6 played, and this is a very straightforward way for white to play and gives white a very nice attacking position. The knight hits the outpost on e5, and queen takes knight is threatened. So the knight came back. Then f4. So there's this very nice trio of pawns. supporting the knight on the outpost on e5, and this gives white very nice attacking chances. I mean, even a move like g4, g5 could happen. And if knight c6, then of course white just castles, and it's not possible to take that because white wins material with a fork. So that's why black played knight fd7 in order to exchange off this knight without losing material. But yeah, I highlighted those pieces. They can't move. Well, they haven't moved yet. And black is way behind in development. Castle, simple move, good move. And if black tries to block out the bishop on d3 with, let's say, f5, then g4 just opens things up again. So black took on e5 and then put the queen back on e7. Now, I think white has several very attractive ways to pursue the attack here. I mean, you could play something very straightforward like queen h5, but Katharina seized the moment while black's pieces were still on the starting blocks and played bishop h7, the Greek gift sacrifice. This is really nice. Now, this isn't an occasion where we can play the knight to g5, that would be very nice. But in this case, rook f3, just swinging across to the h-file. And here black has to play f5. It's the only possible defence in order to give the king potentially an escape route out. So this is a big moment in the game. Big choice. Do you exchange en passant and open things up, or do you swing the rook across to one of these squares? That's the dilemma that white has. Perhaps you should have a little think about that. How would you play with white in this position? White play what's best? En passant or something else? Of course, en passant is possible. But in fact, it's not so clear. Second rook comes in. It doesn't look bad. I think that one problem is this knight takes a long time to bring into to come into the attack. And with the rook, well, watch what happens. You see, this knight can swing over to the king side very quickly, and black is okay in this position. Let's go back. Katharina made the best move, rook h3. It looks a bit funny because does this give black some security with the pawn here? Well, not really. Crucial thing is these pieces don't get into play very quickly. Rook d8. So that's perhaps hoping that the king can escape at some point. Now, I think this is a very instructive moment. Of course, you can just check, but actually it doesn't achieve much. You need to bring another piece into the attack, and this is something that I always emphasize with these Greek gift sacrifices. Very often it's not enough just to bring the queen and rook into play, or just the queen and knight. Very often you need one more piece to do the damage. And in this case, well, we can choose between the knight and the rook. I mean, actually, both these moves are strong. You can play knight e2 to f4 and so on. Potentially knight here. Or you can play rook f1. That was the move that was played. Good move. So the rook joins the attack. So the king tries to run. Rook f3. I love this. It's very steady. Very logical play. Just bring one more piece into the attack and black is going to crack. So queen f7 was played here, but let's just have a quick look at knight c6. Then rook here with the threat of queen h8 and rook takes. So queen f7, queen g5, that's nice, taking this square away, threatening this, and if queen g8, well, you could just play rook h4. and then rook h3, threatening this, and then rook h7. And this pawn is going to fall, and then the second rook comes in. This is winning for white. In the game, queen f7 was played. And now this very deft move. Queen g5. Just preventing the king running away. Really good move. So now rook h8 is a terrible threat. And there's no good defense. Of course, queen takes rook is also quite a good threat as well. So double attack. And in the game, king e8 played and rook h8. That was the final move. If the king steps up, then that isn't bad at all. Checkmate. Really nice attack. Very logical. You know, when this move, bishop h7, was played, well, Katharina said she hadn't seen right the way through to the end, but it's a very logical sacrifice. And I like this moment very much, where the next piece was brought into the attack. Really logical. If you can't get them straight away, then just bring another piece over, and that's like a tipping point. So Katharina, very well played. I wish you more success with Greek gift sacrifices in the future. Anyway, don't forget these ACO events, October and May. I'm there as one of the Grandmaster coaches, and they are fantastic fun. Do check out the links.